He slept with my wife behind my back. So I spent $100,000 to destroy his world. From job offers to his dream car. Gone. This revenge was personal. And perfect. I know this is gonna sound insane, petty, maybe even a little unhinged. But when you find out your wife of 8 years has been sleeping with your younger brother, and your entire marriage is basically one long episode of How Dumb Was I, something inside you snaps. And that's something, well, it had a $100,000 price tag. Let me rewind. My brother David and I were never close. He was the golden child, the loud one, the star athlete who coasted through life while I worked for everything I had. Still, I never hated him. I just kept my distance. My wife Karen met him one Thanksgiving during college break. She was friendly, warm, charming. I introduced her to the whole family, and she made an effort with everyone, David included. Back then, I thought it was sweet how she tried to build bridges. I was such a goddamn idiot. Fast forward to a few years later, Karen and I are married. We have a son. Or at least, I thought we did. 3 months ago, she sat me down and told me there was something I needed to know. You know that cold, numb feeling that creeps over you when you realize everything you believed was a lie? That was me. She confessed to having a long-term affair. When I asked with who, she hesitated and then dropped the bomb. David. My own brother. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she said our son might not even be mine. I laughed. I literally laughed. I thought she was messing with me. But nope. She looked me dead in the eye and said it started years ago. That Thanksgiving when we stayed with my parents. She said they connected. That he flirted with her and she was vulnerable and it just happened. I couldn't even breathe. So what did I do? I walked. Packed my bags, told her I hoped she enjoyed her chemistry with David, and moved into a cheap hotel for 2 weeks while I figured out my next move. I'll spare you the slow-motion car crash that followed. Paternity test confirmed my son wasn't mine. Karen tried to make it work. Begged me to stay, said it was a mistake, called it an emotional connection. Whatever she thought would make it sound like less of a nuclear betrayal. I filed for divorce. Then came the kicker. David got cut off by my parents. My dad left everything to me. $2 million. David, the golden boy, got a single dollar and a handshake. Turns out when you screw your brother's wife, even your mom can't look you in the eye anymore. And yet, David called me, after everything, wanted to talk. Said he was struggling. College was expensive. Karen was on him for child support. He even had the nerve to ask if I could put in a good word with our parents. I swear I almost choked from laughing. That was the moment I knew I was going to get revenge. Not the kind where I yell or punch someone or post about it online. No, I was gonna make him feel it. In his wallet, in his pride, in every inch of his arrogant little soul. And I had the money to do it. I didn't even need all 2 million. I only needed 100 grand. Step 1 was simple. Public humiliation, not loud or messy, subtle, quiet, and perfectly legal. I hired a private investigator, one of those ex-cop types who knew how to dig up everything. I already knew about Karen and David's affair, but I wanted proof. Pictures, dates, receipts, a full dossier. Took 2 weeks, but the man delivered. Turns out Karen had been booking hotel rooms under an alias, and David, genius that he is, paid for a few of them with his shared college credit card. Sloppy. Beautifully sloppy. I mailed that little dossier to everyone. And I mean everyone. Our extended family. Karen's parents. Our old college friends. Even their church pastor. No note, no signature. Just the ugly truth in a brown envelope. Within days, the fallout began. David's fake Instagram life collapsed overnight. His carefully curated posts about self-growth and entrepreneurship got swarmed with comments. Karen's job? Gone. Apparently fraternizing with interns while billing the company for client meetings is frowned upon. Oops. But I wasn't done. The next 20 grand went to David's passion project, his YouTube channel. He had this little car review thing going. Nothing major, just a few thousand followers, but he was proud of it. Took himself very seriously, said he wanted to be, quote, the next big voice in the automotive space. So I found a bunch of ad buyers and content creators on Fiverr, paid them to flood the comments of every video with clips from the dossier and calls for boycotts. I also bought the domain name davidstolemywife.com and linked it to a page with screenshots of the affair. Cruel? Maybe. But I wasn't even halfway through the budget yet. Next, I tracked down every job David had applied to in the last year. Thank you, LinkedIn, and my PI. I sent anonymous packages to HR departments with summaries of his actions. I included a polite note that said something like, "If this is the character of the person you're hiring, best of luck." You'd be amazed how fast job offers dry up after that. The thing is, I didn't want to destroy David's life completely. I just wanted to make sure he earned the rock bottom he'd inevitably hit. I wanted to make it clear that when you betray someone who only ever tried to be better, there's a price. I hadn't even touched the remaining 70 grand. That came later. So after I nuked his reputation and torched every bridge he had left, I moved on to something a little more personal. David had been dreaming about this 1969 Mustang Fastback for years. He used to talk about it like it was a soulmate. Had a whole Pinterest board dedicated to restoration ideas, even kept a framed photo of one in his old room. That car was his fantasy, his endgame once he made it. Well, guess what popped up for sale in a collector's auction about an hour from where I live? Not a replica, not a fixer-upper. The real deal, restored to showroom perfection. Price tag 65 grand. So I bought it, cashed it out with a straight face. No haggling, no financing. Just handed them the check and told the guy to wrap it up for delivery. 2 days later, I parked it in front of my place, washed it, and took a few photos. Sent them anonymously to David with a simple message. Some dreams come true, just not yours. He showed up at my apartment 3 hours later. I hadn't seen him in person since the fallout. The dude looked like a zombie in a hoodie, hair greasy, jeans barely clinging on. He just stared at the car for a full minute before knocking on my door. I didn't answer. He stood there for a while. I watched him through the peephole, arms crossed, face twitching like he wanted to scream but didn't have the energy. Eventually, he left. I took the car for a spin that night. Blasted music with the windows down. I didn't even care about classic cars before this. Now? It might be the best 65 grand I've ever spent. That left me with 25,000. So I gave it away. Not to David, obviously. I started a scholarship fund, one that gives money specifically to kids who grew up in toxic families. The application essay? Write about a time someone close to you betrayed your trust and how you move forward. David called me again after that, left a voicemail, said he didn't want money, just a second chance, said he missed me, that we were brothers and that had to count for something. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. Just hit delete. You know what the wildest part is? I don't even feel angry anymore, just clean. Like I finally scrubbed something rotten out of my life. Took $100,000 and turned pain into peace. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. A few weeks later, I got an email from someone I didn't recognize. It was from a girl named Tessa, said she used to date David back in college. Subject line just read, "Thought you should know." Turns out David had a little habit of cheating. Not just with my ex-wife either. Apparently, he was notorious for hooking up with the girlfriends of guys he was close to, just to prove he could. Tessa sent screenshots of conversations, some old photos, even a thread from a private group where a few other women shared similar stories. One of them said David had bragged about stealing his brother's wife like it was some kind of high score. I felt sick again. But it passed quickly. Because suddenly, I had an idea. I compiled all of it, everything from Tessa, the stuff from my PI, and some of my own receipts, and turned it into a podcast. Not about David specifically, that would have been boring. No, I made it a series about betrayal, sibling rivalry, the psychology of narcissism. I changed names, altered details, hired a voice actor to narrate so no one could trace it back to me directly. I spent the last 10 grand getting it produced properly, with intro music, editing, the works. It blew up. People love a good revenge story. Especially when it's told like a mystery that unfolds in slow, gut-wrenching detail. Comments poured in. Emails from strangers telling me their own betrayal stories. Some figured it out. A few locals messaged me saying, "Yo, is this about that guy who used to review cars on YouTube?" I never confirmed anything. Just watch the views tick up. The podcast is still running. I plan to keep it going with other people's stories. Maybe turn it into something real. A platform. A place for people like me who got burned and decided not to just sit there and take it. And David? Last I heard, he was living with Karen in a tiny apartment across town. Working part-time at a mechanic shop. Struggling to pay child support. Our parents won't speak to him. Our extended family won't even look at him. And me? I've got my dream car, a loyal following, and no one in my life who secretly wishes they could destroy it. I won. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit a notification bell if you haven't done it yet.